The bread you eat every day may be perfectly legal in the United States, but banned in Europe. It sounds hard to believe, but it's true. Today, we're going to follow the trail of those seemingly harmless loaves. Not through rumors, not through emotion, but through ingredient lists, scientific data, and regulatory records that brands never want you to read closely. This video isn't meant to make you afraid of bread. It asks a much simpler question. Is the product you're calling bread really worthy of a place in your family's kitchen? And once you know the answer, you may never look at that plastic bag on the supermarket shelf the same way again. If you care about food, health, and the hidden truths behind polished packaging, subscribe to the channel, hit like, and share this video with someone you care about. Let's begin. 1. Wonder Bread. Founded in 1921, Wonder Bread was once a national icon. It appeared in schools, in the military, and on American family dinner tables. Marketed as the bread that builds strong bodies. A pristine white legend, soft, harmless, reassuring. Then the Industrial Revolution stepped in. Wonder Bread adopted the Chorleywood process, cutting baking time from 12-24 hours down to about 3 hours. Fermentation time was eliminated. Chemical additives took its place. And this is the cost. Azotocarbonamide, a substance banned in the EU because it breaks down into semicarbazide and urethane, both linked to cancer in animal studies. Calcium propionate, which according to the Journal of Pediatrics and Child Health has been associated with behavioral disorders in children. Bleached flour produces alloxin, a compound used in research to induce diabetes. The conclusion is clear. Wonder Bread no longer sells bread. It sells childhood memories preserved and shaped by chemicals. 2. Nature's Own. Nature's Own entered American kitchens wrapped in a perfect disguise. The name Nature's? The earthy yellow-brown colors, the wheat stalks. Everything is designed to evoke safety and wholesomeness, as if nature itself had signed off on the product. Americans believed it. And that trust became the weakness. The legal reality is far colder. In the United States, the word natural has no mandatory definition. No verification, no certification, no enforcement. Any company can print it on a package, but flip the bread bag over and the natural facade disappears instantly. Datum, a synthetic emulsifier, has been linked in multiple studies to disruptions in the gut microbiome, the foundation of immunity and metabolism. High fructose corn syrup, associated with fatty liver disease, obesity, and metabolic syndrome, shows up in the bread. And GMO soybean oil, high in omega-6, quietly fuels chronic inflammation. The irony lies in the price. Nature's Own costs more, yet its formula is no different from cheap industrial bread. The conclusion is clear. Nature's Own doesn't deceive through lies. It deceives through words that aren't regulated. 3. Sara Lee. Sara Lee built an entire empire on a simple promise. Nobody doesn't like Sara Lee. Soft. Easy to eat, convenient, a slice of bread that doesn't require much chewing, much effort, or much thought. But that very softness is the problem. To achieve that texture, Sara Lee relies on refined soybean oil, refined wheat flour, and high-speed industrial mixing. Natural gluten structures are broken down, forcing the digestive system to work harder to process what should have been easy to absorb. The biomedical data is not ambiguous. Diets high in omega-6 from soybean oil have been linked to chronic inflammation, heart disease, diabetes, and Alzheimer's. The glycemic index of Sara Lee bread sits around 73, high enough to disrupt insulin regulation when consumed regularly. And then there's one biological signal that's hard to ignore. The bread doesn't mold for weeks. That alone indicates the natural microbial life has been stripped away. Sara Lee makes you feel comfortable today, then quietly makes your body pay the price for years to come. If Sara Lee represents the trade-off between health and convenience, then the next story is even more subtle. It's not about softness, it's not about production speed, it's about emotion. When the industry realized that people are willing to ignore data in order to hold on to memories, bread was no longer made solely by machines. It began to be made from carefully engineered nostalgia. 4. Schmidt's Old Time. Schmidt's Old Time doesn't sell bread first, it sells emotion. The name Old Time, the vintage typography, the imagery of a traditional bakery are all carefully designed to evoke your grandparents' kitchen. Slow, handmade, trustworthy. But data has no nostalgia. Once you break down the ingredient list, the picture changes immediately. Potassium bromate, a dough conditioner banned in the EU, Canada, and China due to suspected cancer risks, is still present. TBHQ, a preservative also used in biofuels, paints, and industrial plastics, appears alongside HFCS, calcium propionate, datum, and refined soybean oil. And it doesn't stop there. With roughly 240 milliliter of sodium per slice, Schmidt's ranks among the highest on the market, a troubling number for heart health and blood pressure if consumed daily. In short, the only thing old-time about Schmidt's is the packaging design. What's inside is entirely a product of a modern laboratory. 5. Bimbo White Bread. Bimbo White Bread doesn't rely on nostalgia or flowery language. Its power lies in scale. Bimbo Bakeries is the largest bread company in the world, producing millions of loaves every day for dozens of countries. But that very globalization creates the core problem. When you're feeding a massive empire, the priority is no longer nutrition. It's stability, shelf life, and cost. The result is all too familiar. Refined white flour, vegetable oils, preservation additives. Low nutritional value, but easy to control in mass production. If you place Bimbo's ingredient list next to Wonder Bread or Sara Lee, one pattern becomes immediately clear. White flour at the top, industrial oils following close behind, and stabilizers holding the structure together. The only real difference is production volume, not the nature of the product itself. In that sense, Bimbo isn't harmful because of scandals or controversy, but because of the very business model it's built on. After all the names we've just gone through, one thing becomes clear. The problem isn't bread itself, it's how bread is made. When profit, speed, and scale are put above everything else, bread turns into a perfectly legal industrial product. But the story doesn't end there. There are still brands that choose a harder path. Slower, less flashy, and more honest. 1. Dave's Killer Bread. After everything that has just been exposed, Dave's Killer Bread appears as a much-needed pause. No noise. No exaggerated promises. The brand begins with one very simple principle: transparency. Dave's uses USDA organic certified grains, non-GMO, with no dough conditioners, no potassium bromate, and no datum. The ingredient list is short, easy to read, and easy to understand. From a nutritional standpoint, each slice provides noticeably higher fiber and protein, helping keep the glycemic index lower than typical industrial bread. The texture is firmer and requires more chewing, with a clear aroma of grains and toasted seeds, not artificial sweetness. Most notably, the shelf life is only a few days. The bread molds quickly because it is real food, not something kept alive by chemicals. Dave's Killer Bread is not perfect, but in an industry built on compromise, that level of honesty is enough to restore trust. 2. Alvarado Street Bakery. If Dave's represents modern transparency, Alvarado Street Bakery evokes a slower rhythm of life. A time when bread was made to nourish, not to compete. This brand chooses organic sprouted grains, a method that helps break down complex starches, improves mineral absorption, and keeps the glycemic index significantly lower than refined flour bread. Alvarado uses no industrial additives, no refined oils, and makes no attempt to extend shelf life with chemicals. The bread has a dense, hearty texture, a gentle aroma of sprouted grains and natural fermentation, and a subtle sweetness that comes from the biological process itself, not from added sugar. What stands out most is how they communicate. No grand storytelling, no manufactured drama. The bread is placed on the shelf and left for consumers to experience for themselves. In an industry full of scandals, Alvarado Street Bakery doesn't need controversy to prove its value. The product speaks clearly enough on its own. Through the brands we've just exposed, you can clearly see the difference between industrial bread optimized for speed and profit and bread made with real ingredients and real processes. The choice is yours, waiting on the grocery store shelf every single day. The question for you is simple. Which side does the loaf in your kitchen belong to? Turn the bag over, read the ingredient list, and decide based on data, not advertising. If you found this investigation helpful, please subscribe to the channel, hit like, and share it with someone who cares about their family's health so they don't miss our upcoming reports.